Hello, and welcome to Build Your Own Pedalboard.
Fun times with Pete and Tore.
Yeah, exactly. It is fun times. So what are we doing? We selected a bunch of pedals.
Yeah, so we figured it'd be fun to kind of make a pedalboard that might be what you would start out with. Or like,
Right.
build, once you go from that initial, you got a guitar, you got an amp, and then maybe you got your first pedal, like, a distortion pedal or a wah pedal or whatever, to actually going the next step, which is, putting on some kind of board and, setting them up in some kind of a little bit more of a
Right.
of a conscious fashion of, I need these things to play the gig.
Right. You're in your first band or whatever, and you want to have all the
but not
bases.
this massive thing.
Yeah,
So-
we want to have all the bases covered,
Yeah.
basically. Right? Yeah.
So you kind of picked some stuff that you would probably throw on a board that, as guitar players, what always happens is, it would be nice to have that, and it would be nice to have that. So I'm kind of intrigued to see if we can actually fit all these things on this tiny little pedal train board here, but
I think we can do it.
fingers crossed we can.
I think we can do it. So should we talk about the individual choices first?
Yeah,
just
let's
real
do
quick?
that. Let's do that.
Okay, so number one, we've already talked about this a little bit today in another video, but buffer. Buffer is going to keep your signal clean. It's going to drive the cable length all the way through all these pedals and stuff. Many of them are true bypass.
Yeah.
This is going to give you a nice, robust signal with nice clarity and present top end and stuff like that. So this is going to be the thing that's first in line.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And then tuner, of course. You got to have a tuner.
Yeah.
This has been my tuner of choice for many years now.
Yeah, it's nice and small, works.
It's great. I mean,
Do we ever
displays
use
super bright.
clip-on tuners live, or are you still in the camp of...
I do if I'm going to do a jam or something. Yeah, if I'm just going around town,
Yeah.
and then like I'm going to bring my guitar and go somewhere and jam, I'll use clip-on tuner for sure.
But
They've
bigger pedal boards, you'd put a pedal tuner on there.
Oh, I always if it's my regular pedal board or if it's my board, and I'm going to do like a real serious gig or something like that, I've always got an actual tuner.
Yeah.
But the clip-on tuners have been great for. I still, to be honest, they're awesome. They're great tools. They look a little goofy no matter what brand of clip-on tuner you use. You know what I mean? They're a great tool. They just, there's something about the traditional, you can't get away from. That's just, plus the mute feature, is always great.
neat.
So
we gotta have one of those in there as well.
we gotta have a tuner.
Yeah.
So what's next? Then compressor.
Yeah.
I love using compressors to kind of pump up my clean sound and make everything a little bit easier to play. Make my clean feel a little bit more like it's got drive on it when it doesn't.
Yeah.
That's what it does for me is, just kind of evens everything out.
Yeah.
So I had to have a compressor.
And now we also get to talk a little bit about pedal placement. Because we're basically going through these in the order that you would put them in the signal chain.
Yeah.
So buffer goes first.
Buffer goes first.
Tuner afterwards.
Yep. I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after that, the first thing for me would be the compressor.
Yeah.
Why is that? Well, the reason is because the compressor is going to raise your noise floor a little bit because its job is to squish. It's an electronic squisher. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So it's basically bringing the low sounds up and bringing the loud sounds down.
Yeah.
So because it's compressing the signal and bringing some of the lower volume stuff up, that's raising the noise floor a little bit.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of every compressor.
And another weird thing would be if you actually placed it at the end of the signal chain, if you had like delays or reverbs trailing out, the compressor would actually try to raise the level of the of the tail of the reverb and the delay.
Yeah.
And that would make things pretty weird. So
That would make things weird, yeah. So not only would it raise the noise floor of your overdrives and fuzzes and stuff like that, if it was after them, it would do a strange thing to delay tails and stuff. So yeah, basically 9 times out of 10, you're going to want the compressor to be up front.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's next. Then this guy, right?
Yeah.
Honeypot fuzz. This is a muffy kind of fuzz, and sounds really, really cool. I like putting fuzz kind of next in line after the compressor, kind of close to the front of the chain.
Yeah.
Generally speaking.
Yeah.
If you've got an overdrive on your board or something, chances are overdrive or an ampy kind of distortion sound. If you think about it, it would kind of be like you're wanting to put the fuzz first in front of those because the overdrive or distortion is kind of simulating the sound of a broken up amp.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So you want to run the fuzz into the broken up amp sound.
Yeah.
So it's similar.
Yeah.
So next in line, we'll put that.
That guy.
Then I've got this guy, which is like the green pedals of yore.
Yep.
right? Got that classic overdrive kind of sound. So this I'm going to put next. The reason is after this is going to come a distortion pedal, which is the ampy sound.
Yeah.
This is more like the overdrive driving into the ampy sound, similar to the fuzz driving into this. So so I want to put the drive before the amp style distortion.
Yeah, and you were thinking about adding a Mojo instead, but because the Mojo and the Dark Matter, which you picked as the next one, have sort of similar sounds, only like in an extra gear, this will give you more tonal options than having a Mojo.
Yeah, the Mojo and the Dark Matter, probably there would be a lot of crossover there, whereas this guy is going to be much more that kind of mid-forward, like the Green Drive sort of sound. And that just seemed like the right thing feeding into what's next, which is the Dark Matter. Yeah. This is very much like an amp-style distortion sound, kind of like simulating the sound of a highish gain, 12x7 sort of front end, cascading gain stage sort of situation. So,
those guys,
we've got the fuzz feeding into the overdrive, feeding into the ampy Dark Matter distortion. That's it for our drive stuff, right? Corona is next. This is a little chorus. I like chorus sometimes. I'm not going to lie. I'm not afraid to admit it.
You don't have to. It's okay.
Yeah, it's kind of people are like, oh, it sounds like the '80s, but now that's cool again.
Yeah.
So I think choruses come back.
Yeah.
And it's the sound that all the kids are digging in 2018, right? So you can do a kind of faux Leslie kind of stuff.
Yeah, I like to use that more than that more traditional kind of slow
rate. Yeah. You like to use the fast rate, low depth.
Yeah.
Kind of,
or even go a little overboard and get into like John Scofield kind of territory where it's like almost ring modulator style.
Cool.
Which is kind of fun as well.
Yeah. So gotta have that because I enjoy modulation of all types, and I do like chorus. So thought maybe we'd have that on there. Looks like we're running out of space.
Yeah,
but we're gonna figure this out. Yeah. Next up, little mini flashback delay.
You gotta have delay, right?
I have to have delay. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I could almost lose it just about everything else on the pedal board if it was like, no, don't take away the delay. I gotta have that. So I love.
Which is an interesting. We'll do the last pedal, and then afterwards maybe we can even talk about let's say some mean person came and said, well, you can only have like 2 or 3 of these. We'll see what you pick, but let's do the last ones first.
Yeah. So Hall of Fame reverb.
Yeah.
I have a reverb. You don't gotta have a reverb, but it's cool.
Yeah.
It's good. I'll show you why in a bit. We'll play through all this stuff. But so that's it. What do we have? And not including the buffer, because that's not really a pedal, but if we just count everything else as pedals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pedals on this little board.
Yeah.
That's a lot of tones.
And we have a power supply with 5 outputs underneath from our friendly Danish colleagues T-Rex.
Oh, yeah. Have to daisy chain a bit then.
Yeah, so we'll do, most of your drive pedals in general don't use a lot of milliamps.
Right.
So typically, if you use a quality power supply, you can get away with daisy chaining, most of your drive pedals out of one, because most outputs on regular power supplies have around 100 milliamps. So you should be able to power those.
What's the average drive pedal used? Maybe 10, 20, 30 milliamps?
Not even that much.
Really?
Fuzzes typically use between 5, 8, maybe 10 milliamps max.
Really? Wow.
A lot of drives sit in around that 10, 12 milliamps.
Oh, wow. So you should be able to, as long as you don't run into a noise issue with daisy chaining, with some sort of ground loop or something, which you have to kind of test, right?
Yeah, you have. There's no way of saying for sure. Obviously, the ideal situation, you have a big power supply with isolated outputs for every single pedal.
Yeah.
But if you guys maybe even want to edit in the first version of the board, we actually tested everything out in like a jumbled mess of stuff, and it was dead quiet.
It was dead quiet. Yeah. We could almost say it was like, is it on? And it was like, yes, it's on, and everything's in a pile that looked like, well.
And that was with the daisy chaining. But you never know until you hook it up. Even when you use stuff with, with isolated outputs, you might run into stuff. I have an old Fuzz, phase silicon one at home, and it's not noisy per se, but it picks up Russian radio stations. So as soon as I turn it on, you can hear some Russian guy in the background go like,
always fun. And proximity of pedals to one another and the power supply can be, you just have to try it, right? You'll never know until you hook it all up. And and actually check it out.
Yeah.
And troubleshoot. Okay, so shall we wire this all up?
Yeah. So we have our basic chain, and I think on this board, because it's a 1-tier board.
Yeah.
You probably just want to wire it up, the same way that you'd have the signal flow go through them, right?
Exactly.
Sometimes if I wire up, I don't know about you, but if I wire up boards that are like in 2 tiers,
Yeah.
I would sometimes not necessarily have them go like this and then this. I would place the pedals that I use the most on the lower tier.
Yeah.
And I'd also make sure that certain pedals that I hit a lot and certain pedals that I don't hit a lot, that they are, spaced in a certain way, especially I have pretty big feet, so I don't want to step on.
That's a factor, right? Like making sure the switches, because you might be like, yeah, I want to get a ton of stuff. Oh, it all fits. I can fit it on the board, but then you're not thinking like, yeah, but I can't actually physically get my shoe to hit the switches because they're so close
or doing
together.
something like this, because I use the delay quite a lot. So if I had to turn this on and off all the time, chances are I'd accidentally hit this thing sometime during a gig and I'd have no sound. So I'd done that once and I'd never do that again.
Right.
It's a lesson learned, I guess.
Learn the hard way. Yeah. Okay, well let's try and put it together in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back.
Yeah. Actually, one thing we could talk about a little bit about. Do you build boards yourself as well, or do you mostly get like famous LA guys to build them for you?
I get the famous LA guys to build them for me. No, I have. I mean, I've built my own, and I tear them apart after I get the famous LA guys to build them, and I drive those guys crazy because then I'm always like, oh, I want to switch this pedal out like a week after I get the board built, so I'm always screwing it up. But I've kind of got some experience with Velcro and dual lock and putting them together. Yeah.
Because I actually think it's a good little thing to talk about, which is Velcro and dual lock.
Okay. Yeah.
I find that if you change pedals a lot, Velcros, it's easier to kind of, let's take this out and put something else in there, which makes things easier. Problem is that it doesn't stick quite as well as this stuff, which you might not know, which is this thing from 3M called dual lock. Yeah. Which, if you put something on a board with dual lock, chances are it's not going to come off again.
Yeah, I mean, even with dual lock, this is kind of amazing because if you fly your stuff, it's incredible what the airlines will do to your pedal board when you're not watching. But even with this stuff, you can open up your pedal board after a flight or something and find that some pedal's flown halfway across the case and stuff. So you want to secure them to the board as good as you can. And a little secret is if you're not going to change the pedals, if you think that it's going to remain consistent at least for a while, what you can actually do, this stuff you just cut it into strips. One side goes on the board, the other side goes on the pedal, and it locks together like crazy. When it's actually, you'll hear it snap. Yeah. And then those pedals, you got to basically when you put a couple,
tear them off. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I use a flathead screwdriver and actually pop the pedal off with the screwdriver. That's how hard they grip. But if you really want it to be good, you can actually take a bead of glue and put it on the dual lock and then lock the pedal down.
I have never done that.
Because I was running into problems with airlines throwing my stuff around. And even the little racks, like I'd fly little 6-space racks around and stuff that were like shock mount racks, and I'd get it in the pedal drawer, would have the pedals all, even with the dual lock. Yeah. So then I started, just putting a bead of glue on the dual lock, locking the pedal down, then the glue locks, and then it ain't coming off. But the only problem is if you want to change the pedal, you got to pretty much rip it off, and then, new dual lock.
Yeah, that's what I find when I use dual lock is that when it's basically, you can't reuse it. When you rip it off, it's off, and you got to use a whole new strip both for the pedal and the board. Whereas with Velcro, I mean, once you have this stuff, I think this one, once it's on there, I mean, it's not going to stick all that much, but if I decide I want to use another pedal, I can put this over here, put another one in there. This is going to stay, and if I decide I want to put this back in, you can still reuse the same stuff.
Yep. Velcro's not really roadworthy, but it's great for in town and changing pedals around and stuff. It's like a studio board, or you're just kind of playing locally. Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah. So I think for this board, we'll use Velcro for all of it, except dual lock, because the main problem is probably getting the buffer in there along with the tuner. So what we actually think we'll do is we'll place them.
The tuner on top of the buffer?
And we'll use dual lock to do that, because otherwise this is not going to stick really well.
Right.
So we'll try to see if we can do that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now, the magic of time-lapse photography shall allow you to see us build this board.
We should have gotten like the most crazy, beautiful board built and just like, oh, look what we've done.
Yeah, exactly. And here it is. Yeah. Like baking. Okay.
Let's go.
Success! In theory.
Yeah.
That works. That works. I don't know. Nice. I just got inspired by the F major 7 chord. Dark matter, does it work? Yep.
Hello.
El combo. Yep. El combo, rather. Honeybee. Yep. Oh. Compressor. Tuner.
Works.
Success.
Buffer. Let's hear it with and without the buffer, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's without. And that's with, giving us.
You can actually hear the difference.
Oh, big time.
I was interested to see if you can hear the difference between this is like a regular size pedal board.
Yeah.
With some fairly short cables.
True. You could get away probably. Let's listen to it one more time without it. And one more time without it. Okay. I mean, I like the sparkly sound with a buffer. I just do.
Yeah.
You know, I just feel like it's better. As we stated in the other video, you know, if it was too bright for you, that's what the tone control on the guitar is for.
Yeah. Or the amp, for that matter, right? You can always dial in the amp. It's just nice to know that, you know, you're not missing out on something that you could have had if you just, you know, if you buffered the signal.
It's not lossy as much as when you lose the top end in other ways, like on the amp, or you know, you're actually losing signal through cables.
And it's easier to do it like that. I mean, if you could theoretically do like the Clapton woman tone with a cable, but it would just have to be a really, really long cable to do it.
Yeah, it must be a super duper long cable. So I much prefer to use a buffer and then roll off top end in other ways, for sure.
So we have a board, and I think maybe the first thing to do would be that, you know, maybe load some tone prints that you dig into the... Chorus
sounds pretty cool as it is, but let me see what it sounds like with a faster rate. It's a little weird. That's kind of cool, actually, as long as I keep the depth low. So, but we could try some different ones, different tone prints if we wanted to.
We have Andy Summers.
Sorry?
We have Andy Summers.
Oh, I'd love to hear that. Yeah. So these we can load through the pickups of the guitar?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, we
can. So cool.
So let's see. This one is on. There we go.
How about that? So does it load up with a specific rate and depth, and then we turn the knobs?
The way you set them is that you would do this, and that would be like Andy's setting.
Sounds like Andy.
Yeah.
That's cool. We got to get this going for that, though, too. We should try the compressor. So we got off our TonePrint mission.
Oh, no worries.
I got distracted by the Andy Summers tone. he played a GMP, didn't he?
He
back
did?
In the day?
I didn't know.
He used to use 2 GMPs.
Oh, really?
And I bet he used them like this in the low gain.
Yeah, in the low gain, yeah.
Not 100% sure, but you know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Sounds really cool.
We got to do something because we also have his TonePrint for the
for the
flashback,
delay?
so you can do the Walking on the Moon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Installing TonePrint
In
in flashback delay.
2, 1.
It's the future.
There we go.
Does it go in there?
This should be roughly like this. Let's see.
Ah. Dude, that's the sound. That's it. That's super cool. Awesome. Love that. Okay, I'm happy with that. What is the delay, Andy's? Is it like an analog
It's
thing,
an old
or?
Echoplex he used for
It's
that.
an Echoplex stuff. Oh, it's great. The way it tails, I love that. It's got some character. Cool. With a bit of mod. That's really nice. Yeah, all degraded and stuff when it tails out. That's super cool. Okay, love all that. Got Andy's tones going. Perfect. What about the Hall of Fame? It is indeed like a hall or a
I think
plate,
if
maybe,
it's
right?
if you never know with pedals lying around CC whether somebody beamed something into them at some point or not. But if it's straight fresh out of the box, it's the TC Hall that's in there.
Okay, yeah, sounds like a hall, right? Which is pretty nice. Is that the gain there?
Yeah, that's the output level.
We are getting a bit of noise. Lengthen the delay a little. A little quarter note. Pretty heavily affected, but I'm just messing around. But that sounds great for a pedal board that I've never played through before.
Yeah.
It's really fun. It's a beautiful mod sound. So this is like, I love this kind of like, you know, I can't help it. I mean, I just, like the tones of people like Andy Summers and Lifeson and stuff like that are just
or even
kinda
all
like,
the old, the Lukather, Landau 80s. sounds.
yeah, killer cleans with some mod and some
Yeah.
delay and some reverb. It's
Yeah.
just like, that's what I love. So that's kind of why I picked this stuff. But it sounds really good from not having played through it before, you know.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can say that you have, these are all the clean sounds kind of couple of different options. You can put on the compressor if you want that. You can, add the delay.
Yeah.
So what about the drive sounds?
So the drive sounds. Well, let's start maybe with we'll turn on a little bit of echo, and we'll turn on the fuzz or something. See what that sounds like. I'm just messing around, but yeah, that's really cool sounding. That's inspiring to play through. So that's our fuzz. It's kind of the muffy sort of sound, How about an overdrive with for like a light drive sound? I'm going to leave the flashback on and maybe turn on some reverb while I'm at it, just a little bit. This is the Alcambo. Just a fun, fun bluesy rock and roll tone, It's cool.
There's a crazy amount of different sounds coming out of that guitar. When you look at it just being two humbuckers. Crazy.
It's got a lot of, the single coily stuff is really cool, like when I tap the neck pickup and... Or you can get a lot, It does a pretty credible, single coil Strat style. It'll do that pretty well. The single coil thing. So this is fun. Let's try the dark matter.
Yeah.
See what that sounds like. There's an important point that I want to make about setting output levels on drives.
Oh yeah, good point.
If you can see where I've got the outputs on all the pedals, they're well up above half. I like to set drive pedals that when I turn them on, they boost. Because when you think about it, you're going from the verse of the song or whatever to probably the chorus or a solo when you're turning on the drive. The drummer just got louder and starts hitting the cymbals harder. The singer's laying into it more. Or maybe you're taking a solo and everybody else decides to play louder over your solo too. It always happens, right? Everybody likes, it's time to rock. So when you turn on the drive, many people will set drives kind of like this, I find. It's like, oh, it sounds louder when I turn it. Actually, no, the spike is not as loud.
No.
It's like half the volume.
And it's because, as you mentioned in another video, overdrives, distortions, fuzzes, they all compress the signal.
They compress the signal. That's right. That's right. So what's going to happen is when you're playing with a band is you disappear when you turn on the pedal. So you have to set the drive so that, taking into account that everybody else is, when it comes time to rock, you're turning on the distortion, it's time to rock. Everybody else is rocking harder too. So you don't want your overall volume to go down. It's kind of evening out the overall level, right? Because it's compressing, but the peaks are lower. So what I'm doing is and it can sound a little loud and obnoxious on its own, but in a band context, it's just going to work when you get the level on the pedal up so that it actually boosts a little bit when you turn it on. It's loud, but it's like the drum's going to get loud, the bass is going to get loud.
It also gives you that kind of, you play with a clean sound, it's like everything's nice and fine, and then you kick that thing in and it's louder, you go like, now it's time to rock.
It's time to rock. That's what it is. So. So I've got the output up. I mean, it's not 3/4 the way up, but almost.
That is, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
right? And it's a really cool sound. So this is going to be sort of rhythm guitar example, starting with the dark matter for rhythm. Then I'm going to turn on the El Cambo to take a solo and maybe the flashback too. And I'm boosting into the dark matter with the El Cambo when I turn it on quite a bit with the output quite high. So I feel like that gives, this gives me a nice mid boost.
Yeah.
Lifts pokes a little more when I turn it on for solo or whatever, and hit the delay. Yeah. Sounds great. I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, looking at it, you can say that you have a bunch of varieties for clean sounds, which is basically all the drives off, and then you have like a semi-crunchy kind of rhythm bluesy sound.
Yeah.
You have like rock rhythm.
Sure.
You have those two together for like rock soloing.
Rock soloing, yeah, the El Cambo and the dark matter.
And this one for more, old school fuzzy sounds, your David Gilmour style leads, and even for riffing, if you play in like more,
Yeah, I mean, this could be your, for 90s stuff or like anything kind of, but it could also turn on the delay and maybe hit the neck pickup and, for like any kind of like Gilmour-y sort of, I guess. Kind of spacey, psychedelia sort of lead stuff using that guy's really fun. Yeah.
So.
And then of course we can get back to our. So if we had to lose, let's say, half this pedal board.
Yeah.
Let's say you just need a few pedals, like 3 pedals or something. What would you get rid of? Well, I think it's largely dependent on what type of band you're in.
Yeah, and I guess you could also look at it from the other direction and saying, so let's say this is your first, you're going out, you're buying your first pedal.
Right.
Or maybe your first 3 pedals.
Yeah.
What would you typically get?
What was your first pedal?
Well, I wanted a pedal. It was more, I was playing and I kind of found out through reading Guitar Player or something like that magazine that, you need pedals. To be a guitar player, you need pedals. So I went out and just bought the first thing I could find, which was a Boss high band flanger. Sorry, Boss. Boss makes some fine pedals. The high band flanger is not one of them.
Not one of them?
No. It was a little bit of a disappointment. Then after that, I got
just a funny first one.
It's a really weird first one. I just wanted
work.
something to step on, right?
Yeah.
So then the next one, I got 2. After that, I got a DS1.
Okay.
Obviously, but I think a lot of people got that. And then I got a Crybaby Wah.
Okay. Yeah.
And then after that, I got a few more because a friend of my parents was friends with John Hyatt, the guitar player.
Yeah.
And for some odd reason, John Hyatt gave my friend a couple of his pedals that he wasn't using, and he wasn't a guitar player, so he gave them to me. So I got a Buzz DM2, so the old analog delay, which is a super cool pedal. Yeah. An old tune-up Buzz phaser, the green tune-up one, and then the old, I think it's the CS1 or the CS2, the compressor, the blue one with the toggle switch for the attack between slow and high.
Yeah.
And I really like those 3 pedals. I wish I had them still. They disappeared somehow, but
yeah, that's a good basic kind of setup for sure.
How about you?
So my first amp was I had a Hondo guitar and I had a Trainer amp, a little solid state amp, and the first pedals.
Those are Canadian, right? The Trainers, yeah.
Yeah,
they're
Canadian,
pretty good, right?
Yeah, I mean mine was like a student 80s budget model,
yeah.
but the original, the YBA ones and stuff from the 60s, they were kind of like, you could turn them into very close to like a Plexi Marshall kind of thing, with some simple mods.
Yeah.
But pedal-wise, it was an Amec, some off-brand analog chorus, which was pretty cool. Yeah. And a Boss Super Overdrive. Yeah. Those were my very first pedals, so which was good stuff. Yeah. You know. Yeah. And I would have to say, like, if you were going to eliminate stuff off this board, it would depend on the type of player you were. So let's say that maybe you're a blues player, you know, or roots rock or something like that. You could probably get away with just using the Overdrive, the El Cambo, right? Yeah. And lose the dark matter and maybe the fuzz, you know? Yeah. You probably don't need the compressor. You know, maybe you want a little echo, and maybe the Hall of Fame, you know? So those would be maybe my three pedals would be the El Cambo, the flashback, and the Hall of Fame if I was playing blues or you know, a rootsy kind of stuff. I don't necessarily need the fuzz distortion, but if you're a heavy metal guy or, you know, hard rock guy, you need that dark matter. Yeah. You probably lose most of the other pedals, you know. Yeah. You just need that distortion pedal, maybe with a delay. And if you're in an alternative rock band or something, you might want the fuzz over anything else, you know. If you're Jack White or Billy Corgan or, you know, somebody like that, you're going to want that fuzz pedal.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Right, so it really depends on the type of music you're playing, you know, I think, as far as slimming it down. But this is a great board as far as if you had to do you know, cross section of different styles of music, like at a cover gig or something like that.
Yeah. You can get around with that. You know, there'll be a few things missing if you really had to do like Eruption or something like that. You know, but you know,
or tremolo sounds, or, you know, that isn't on here. But then you can replace the chorus with a tremolo or
something.
Yeah, exactly. This is a good core, you know, sort of tone palette pedal board, I think.
But I'd say for me personally, if I knew back then what I know now, pedal-wise, if I had like, you know, a lot of amps today, I find especially like the cheaper modeling stuff actually have pretty decent drive sounds in them. Mm-hmm. So that wouldn't necessarily not even be my first choice. But if we assume that it's like you had a clean amp as a starting point, I'd probably get some kind of distortion or overdrive depending on the style.
For sure, yeah.
And then I'd get a delay.
Yeah.
Those two things I find really don't like playing without, especially solos and stuff. I need to have a little delay in there. So with those two things and a clip-on tuner or a pedal tuner,
that's the other thing. You could always use the clip-on tuner. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's something you could lose. It's funny because I say compressor, you know, kind of, you know, superfluous or extraneous, but not really. Like for me, I kind of need it for my clean stuff. So, you know, the clean sound that we set up here initially, just kind of very organically and stuff, and beaming in the TonePrint and stuff was really great. I mean, I think, you know, it's really cool. Yeah. Nice ambient kind of clean, turning all this stuff on, you know. So I feel like there's a lot of tones there.
Yeah, you know, small board, but a lot of different sounds. And, you know, something you could probably get around with using in a bunch of different applications, I think. So, cool. It's a board.
I like it.